Jason from Kinetic, and we're here today to talk a little bit about wrist mobility.
So if you've ever done a day in the bike park, you'll know that at the end of the day, your wrists and your forearms can get pretty pumped out and blown up.
So we're going to introduce a few movements that can help prepare for your day of riding, as well as kind of reduce some of the fatigue that you experience after a long day. So the first movement we want to do is called a wrist car. Stands for controlled articular rotations, and it's a way to take your joint through its full range of motion and improve the ability to control that full range of motion. So what you want to do is grab something like a business card and place it on the belly of your forearm. Splay the fingers out as wide as you can, and you're going to start by bringing the hand down as far as you can. From there, you're going to rotate to the inside or the outside, whichever you choose, slowly articulating through the full range of motion without letting the forearm drop one way or the other. Just slowly completing these circles, usually about 5 each direction. If you go slow is enough to feel a good level amount of fatigue or engagement in those forearms. You want to go that way as well as the other way. You notice it's kind of challenging to keep that forearm from wanting to turn over, and that's actually rotation at the elbow. So wanting to isolate the wrist joint there can be challenging, but feel really good with a couple of warm-up sets there. So that's drill number 1. Secondarily, we want to increase the active range of motion of our wrist. So coming into a hands and knees position, splay the fingers and make contact all the way through each of the knuckles. You're gonna start to shift your weight forward until you find your end range or your passive range of motion here. And from here, hang out for a second. Might feel a stretch on the back side here. And then after a few seconds of that, try to lift the fingertips off the floor. You probably actually won't be able to, but you'll feel a lot of engagement on the front side there of the forearm. And then try to slowly rock back as you lift your fingertips up off the floor. You're trying to keep that angle as closed as possible and then rock forward. Joe, where do you feel that?
Right here on my forearm.
Yeah, exactly. Those extensors are working really, really hard to stabilize in this position. Go and rock back again. And you want to repeat this about 10 times. If you do that, you'll feel quite a bit of fatigue. So yeah, we're getting mobility, but a lot of strength at the same time. After 10 of those, we're going to shake it out and then flip over and work on stretching out the wrist flexors. So with the fingertips pointing towards the knee and your shoulders semi-forward, you're going to reach through the floor, press the floor away from you, and slowly rock back. And then where are you feeling that, Joe?
Right on this side of the wrist here.
Right on the wrist there. So depending on where your tightness is, you can feel it closer to the wrist or even all the way upstream towards the elbow. Either way, it's a great stretch as long as it's not causing you any discomfort, so stay within a good range of motion for yourself. And just a couple, maybe 5 to 10 slow rock backs and forth is enough to get those tissues moving. So following that, most of us lack wrist flexion, and this is really important to continue to have a nice healthy joint. So with most of the weight in your legs, you're gonna come down and bring the backs of your hands down towards the floor. Straighten your elbows out, and then as long as it's comfortable, start to shift weight into your wrists. It can be quite intense on the outside here, so keep it mild at first, and from here, you want to see if you can make fists. And you probably feel a large stretch out on the backside here. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel it here.
You feel on the inside too, so you're engaging those flexors here and then stretching the extensors on the outside. So you can make a few fists, maybe 10 again is a nice number to shoot for. And try to get all of the fingers to come up equally if possible. So it's really hard. You're gonna see it's gonna be easier for maybe the pinky fingers to curl up than it is the pointer fingers. So work on that. And then last but not least, some monkey paws. So Joe's gonna kind of sink his elbows down towards the floor, make a tight fist while keeping contact with the back of his wrist, with the back of his hand, and then keeping that fist, he's gonna slowly rise out of the position until he feels a nice stretch here and some good engagement.
Yeah, right on the back.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Hold that for a few seconds, come back down, reestablish that tight grip. You wanna imagine that you're squeezing sand, yeah, and then come right back out, holding for a few more seconds there, and then repeating that 5 to 10 times is a great starting point. Last but not least, we want to keep a lot of movement in the tissues from the elbow, shoulder, and wrist. So hands back down to the floor, fingers splayed, and just gently rotating the elbows as far forward and to the rear as you can. So internal and external rotations at the shoulder, and that should help you feel a little bit of movement happening in these tissues here. Should feel really nice. Yeah, and what do you think about that for recovery?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I've definitely had the experience of not being able to ungrip my hands like this after a long lap down the bike park. This would definitely help loosen things up.
Yeah, so do this on your days in between your rides or even before and after your rides. Hopefully it makes you feel a little better.
And we'll see you on the trail.